doing it because the fans just want to see him in the ring, regardless of who he fights against.
Tom, obviously.
Dante's Boxing Nation.
On, guys. So that clip that you guys just watched, that was immediately following the Canelo versus Cotto fight, when of course Canelo Álvarez, he said that he was born ready and he was willing to fight Gennady Golovkin in his very next fight. But instead of fighting against Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Álvarez, he took a little bit, or maybe I shouldn't even say a little bit, let's just say he took a hell of a detour and decided to drive down welterweight lane and fight against Amir Khan following the Cotto fight. You know, it's almost comical to me that the majority of the media, they're acting like they are so surprised that Canelo Álvarez, the middleweight champion of the world, still doesn't want to fight at middleweight and unify the belts with the other middleweight champion of the world, Gennady Golovkin. I've been telling you guys for a very long time, I've been telling you guys before the Canelo versus Cotto fight, that Canelo wasn't going to fight Gennady Golovkin. Here we are present day, 6 or 7 months after Canelo said he was ready for Gennady Golovkin. Another fight later, after the Cotto fight, still Canelo is obviously not ready. Now, after the Amir Khan fight, after Canelo Álvarez, he himself said, you know, us Mexicans aren't scared of anything, still Canelo Álvarez is not interested in fighting Gennady Golovkin. You guys been reading the reports recently. Golovkin's promoter Tom Loeffler, he just basically said he's putting his foot down and he's not giving Canelo any more extensions. In other words, from this point on, Tom Loeffler is basically saying that either Canelo gives up the belt or he fights against Gennady Golovkin next. WBC president Mauricio Solomon, you can tell he's trying his best to encourage Canelo Álvarez to take the fight, because Mauricio, he just recently said that he told both parties, if any of you guys lose this fight, you're going to have more opportunities, so don't worry about it. Now, clearly we know that when Mauricio says that, he is directing that to Team Canelo. He can't be saying that to Gennady Golovkin, because Gennady Golovkin has been begging for this Canelo fight for quite some time right now. So what do you guys think that means? When the WBC president is trying to give Canelo incentives to take a fight with Gennady Golovkin, when he's basically saying to Canelo, listen man, don't worry if you lose. You'll get more opportunities. It's just a sport. Fighters win and they lose, man. Just take the fight. What does that mean, guys? What does it suggest? It's obviously a rhetorical question. So basically, we know what time it is when it comes to Team Canelo Álvarez. We know what time it is when it comes to Golden Boy Promotions. The bottom line is Canelo Álvarez, he ain't going nowhere near Gennady Golovkin. And I commend Amir Khan and trainer Virgil Hunter for basically stating the obvious by basically saying that we, as Team Khan, we stepped up and took the challenge to face a bigger, stronger guy. Now it's time for Canelo to do the same thing. You know, they say pressure busts pipes. And right now, Canelo is under an enormous amount of pressure when it comes to fighting against Gennady Golovkin. But one more time, like I told you guys, I called this a long time ago. So once again, when I hear a lot of people saying, hey, Dante, what do you think about this news? What are you talking about? I've been telling you guys this since day one. Shit, I was telling you guys this shit BC time, BK time, before the Cotto fight, and before the Kirkland fight. So now that we've pretty much established that Canelo Álvarez is not going to fight Gennady Golovkin, and he is not ready for Golovkin as he said that he was about 6 or 7 months ago, let's go ahead and get into some straight truth when it comes to this whole boxing situation. Now, for you decafs that don't like hearing about the whole truth, this is your opportunity to stop the video right now. All right? So once again, you can't complain because you have been warned if you are afraid of the whole truth. Let's really get into this. Let's really delve into this. Now, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Once again, I understand the psychology of many people. I understand the psychology of a decaf. And I'm telling you guys right now, the truth is the majority of the people in boxing, because a lot of them are decafs, deep down, guys, they don't want to see this Canelo versus Golovkin fight. They do not want to see this Canelo versus Golovkin fight. I tell you guys this all the time. There is a blessing and a curse when it comes to the internet. The curse is it elicits a lot of racism and ignorance, right? A lot of ignorant people can say whatever they want without being held accountable. They don't have to deal with the repercussions and the consequences. But the blessing is the internet is a confession booth. And in all actuality, it is a precursor and a reflection of what we hear decafs on TV say, like boxing commentators, what we read when it comes to the majority of writers on some of these websites. We often hear them regurgitate exactly what we read in the comment section, right? The only difference is, of course, in person, they're going to make sure that they subtract the ignorance and the racism from the equation in fear of looking like a racist or being exposed as a racist, or even worse, getting their ass beat the fuck up. But anyway, let me go ahead and digress and rewind a little bit. So like I told you guys, I can see the parallels clearly, and I'm gonna give you guys an example of these parallels so you guys know that the comment section is exactly a reflection of the ignorance that we see in person or that we hear in person. Give you a perfect example. After the Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight, what were some of the first comments that started to flood in after Floyd Mayweather dominated Manny Pacquiao? After all of these fans said that Floyd Mayweather was afraid of Manny Pacquiao, he would never fight him, etc., etc. And keep in mind, these fans, they can't use the excuse that, you know, Floyd waited for Pacquiao to get too old, because they were saying that Floyd Mayweather was scared of Manny Pacquiao weeks before the fight. No, not even weeks. Days before the fight was signed, you had the majority of fans and even people from the media that were saying that Floyd Mayweather was afraid of Manny Pacquiao. Once again, you know, when it comes to fighters on a coincidental list, no matter what they do, they're supposed to have this permanent yellow streak down their damn back. And if you don't know what that means, you can look that up. That's what they used to call fighters on the coincidental list back in the day, back in the Jack Johnson era. They would say that these coincidental fighters are yellow, no matter how tough they were. That was a way to discredit them. So it's always the same shit, just basically a new date. New names and new dates is all it is when it comes to the ridiculous hypocrisy in the sport of boxing. So the point that I was about to make is, if you guys notice, looking at the comment section, once Mayweather completely dominated Manny Pacquiao, and listen, when I say he dominated him, I mean Floyd Mayweather, he beat Manny Pacquiao more decisively in 12 rounds than any fighter has ever done. Okay? We know that Manny Pacquiao, he beat Tim Bradley 2 out of 3 times. We know that Manny Pacquiao, when he fought against Marquez 4 times, all of those fights, even the fight that Manny Pacquiao got knocked out in, those fights were all extremely competitive. No fighter has done what Floyd Mayweather has done to Manny Pacquiao in 12 rounds. That is what you call domination, okay? When people say, oh, he didn't have Manny Pacquiao's nose all busted, he didn't have his face rearranged, he didn't knock him out or knock him down a couple times. Remember this, it don't matter if you get a slam dunk or a layup, they are both worth 2 points, okay? And matter of fact, if we're really being technical with this analogy, a 3-pointer is worth more points than a slam dunk. Just think about that for a second. Now in basketball, if you win, let's say 120 to 98 points, that is considered a dominant performance, right? But if you win in double overtime, that is not considered a dominant performance. Now that may be a very entertaining match, but it's not considered a dominant performance. That is almost equivalent to winning a fight by a split decision. A fight that could have went either way. Like Canelo versus Lara, which I believe the majority of us feel that Edeslani Lara, he won that fight. All right? So no matter how you look at it, if you were to compare Canelo versus Lara to Mayweather versus Pacquiao, you would have to admit that Floyd Mayweather's performance was far, far more dominant than Canelo versus Lara. All right? In fact, another reason we know that Mayweather versus Pacquiao was a very dominant performance is when you hear fans say, I don't want to see that fight again. I don't want to see that fight again. You know, once again, I understand the psychology of these decafs, and they don't even realize they tell on themselves all the time. Because when you say you don't want to see Mayweather versus Pacquiao again, you know what you guys are admitting? You're admitting that deep down, even you don't believe the Pacquiao shoulder excuse, which we all know was a hoax from day one because Pacquiao, he contradicted himself a million times, right? But once again, when you say you don't want to see it again, that's because you have already come to the conclusion that Manny Pacquiao, he loses to a far more superior boxer in the ring. That is the only implication and conclusion that logically makes sense. So anyway, getting back to my original point, I just gave y'all a whole bunch of bonus talk right there because I was trying to, make this point and connect the dots with the comments as opposed to live decafs in person. Okay, so I want to give you guys a couple examples. Once again, like I've been trying to say for the longest, if you guys recall, right after Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, the first thing these decafs said in the comment section, oh, it was so boring. It was a horrible fight. I blame it on Floyd Mayweather. That damn Floyd Mayweather. He should have did something spectacular. How come he didn't fight like Arturo Gatti, etc.? How come he didn't put his hands down and let Pacquiao hit him in the face? Oh, boring, Floyd Mayweather, right? This is what they kept saying. All of a sudden, if you watch ESPN, you hear the decafs on ESPN say the exact same thing that they were basically saying in the comment section, oh, the fight was horrible. The fight was so boring. The worst fight ever. And it wasn't just ESPN. It was the majority of these media outlets, right? Now all of a sudden, Floyd Mayweather, he single-handedly destroyed the sport of boxing by beating Manny Pacquiao. That is essentially what these people were saying, okay? And it's so damn ironic because these fans, they always say, hey man, why are you bringing up Floyd Mayweather? But every single time these decafs have an opportunity to discredit Floyd Mayweather by bringing his name up when he has nothing to do with some other fighter, that's when it's okay to bring up Floyd Mayweather's name for no reason at all. Case in point, Canelo versus Kirkland. All of a sudden, Canelo is fighting Kirkland a week later, and everyone, including HBO's Max Kellerman and everyone in the comment section, they're bringing up Floyd Mayweather's name for no reason, just to try to compare Canelo's performance over Kirkland to Mayweather beating, quote unquote, the fight of the decade, Manny Pacquiao. Even though Floyd Mayweather dominated Canelo Álvarez in an entertaining fight, and we all know that Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather, they would have damn near did the same thing to a James Kirkland that Canelo Álvarez did to James Kirkland. Isn't that shit ironic? I mean, isn't it ironic when Canelo, he can knock out a welterweight, Amir Khan, right? Gennady Golovkin, he can knock out Dominic Wade. Canelo, he can knock out, what's his name? He can knock out James Kirkland, like I just said. And when Canelo knocks out James Kirkland, he revived the sport from Floyd Mayweather trying to single-handedly destroy the sport. Oh, but when Errol Spence knocks out Chris Algieri, oh, he just knocked out a C-level, a D-level fighter, and that doesn't prove anything, right? You gotta love the double standards, boy, I tell you. But the greatest thing about the ignorance is it only comes from the decafs. If you guys notice, you never hear professional boxers and trainers that actually do this for a living siding with the ignorant fans or even the ignorant biased commentators, right? When I interview these boxers, it doesn't matter what race, nationality they are. I tell you right now, and I'm proud to say it, at least 90% of the time, they all corroborate everything that I'm telling you guys. You hear these guys recite what I say all the time in front of a microphone and a camera. In a court of law, I believe that's called direct evidence. In other words, DNA evidence, the smoking gun, a written confession. This is what we often get from the actual participants that really do this shit for a living. There is a reason why the only time you hear ignorance is from emotionally attached fans that have an obvious agenda. You can't really say I have an agenda because the majority of what I say, once again, professional boxers and trainers, they agree with. So what would be my agenda? If you're saying I have an agenda, you're basically saying that Nacho Beristain has an agenda. When he was the one that said Floyd Mayweather is simply the best, the Michael Jordan of the sport. Why would he say that after Floyd Mayweather just beat his fighter? No agenda there, right? That's how easy it is to break down the ignorance. So anyway, let me go ahead and wrap this video up with the original point that I wanted to go ahead and make when it comes to decafs in the comment section, basically coinciding with people that we see every day and we talk boxing with, from your friends to you hearing commentators to even what some extreme bias writers have to say. Now, I already told you guys, I read between the lines, I can decipher, I can decode, I can interpret what a decaf is really trying to convey. And I've been telling you guys since day one, and once again, the comment section is always the confession booth that confirms everything that I've been telling you guys. I've been telling you guys for the longest, there is no coincidence that these fans deep down, they won't admit it, but they don't want to see Canelo versus Golovkin. But the same fans that don't want to see Canelo Golovkin, they do want to see Golovkin versus Mayweather, right? The same fans that don't want to see Golovkin versus Ward, they prefer to see Mayweather versus Golovkin. None of this is a coincidence, guys. And it's just this simple. Because deep down, they look at Canelo and Golovkin as being on the same team. I've been telling you guys this for the longest. Once again, this is the reason why they would say they don't want to see Golovkin versus Lara. Oh, but because Lara is so boring and Golovkin would destroy Lara. Oh, but they would love to see Mayweather versus Golovkin. Because they feel that if anyone is a threat to their favorite fighters, they'd rather not see the fight. They'd rather not see the fight. And when it comes to Golovkin going against Canelo, they don't want to see that because they feel that those fighters are basically on the same team. And they all have a common enemy, which is a black fighter, the fighter on the coincidental list. I've been telling you guys this since day one, okay? So just to prove that I know exactly what I'm talking about, and this is not just speculation, let me go ahead and read a comment. Matter of fact, this was a comment on Ego's video, Boxing Ego. He just recently did a video on Triple G basically applying pressure on Canelo Álvarez. And here is one of the confession comments that was left in the comment section on Boxing Ego's video. Quote, "I want them to both fight black fighters, not each other. They're brothers." End quote. Once again, guys, the comment section is a confession booth. There's only one place you can go where you can damn near confess to anything outside of murdering someone, and that is a confession booth where it remains confidential. You don't have to worry about being judged. You don't have to worry about anyone jumping on you. Only in a confession booth or maybe a psychiatrist's office can you confess to certain things that you normally would not confess to. That's all I got for now. We'll basically see where Canelo goes from here, because I'm telling you right now, there is an enormous amount of pressure on Canelo to fight Gennady Golovkin, or at least step up and fight the best junior middleweight like Demetrius Andrade, the Charlo brothers, a rematch with Lara, or even fight David Lemieux. David Lemieux would be a great step-up fight for Canelo Álvarez, to fight a real strong middleweight who's just as strong as he is, and it gives us an opportunity to gauge Canelo's performance against a common opponent by way of contrast when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!